Up, bro?
Hanging out, bro.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got fucking COVID.
Yeah. Who infected you?
Well, I live in the great state of South Carolina right now, so it could have been any of these fucking people.
Could have been everybody. Yeah.
It's amazing how the whole state just collectively put their blinders up and were like, this isn't happening to us, so we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And it was working gangbusters for them, just don't get tested, don't wear the mask, and you won't have any problems.
Yep. And they just went fucking willy-nilly, and everybody, all their grandpappies are dying. And meemaws are all filling up the morgues and all that.
They're dying free, though. They're dying free.
They're dying free and sad. That's how it.
Right.
It's just, okay. So the point of this whole thing is to talk about how the state of the world is, right? Which is poor, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, economically, whatever the case is, we can just attach the word poor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at through our lens, right? So we can take a topic and then personally reference it to our own lives, right?
Yeah.
So for instance, COVID, right? Like, I can't afford to get COVID. Like,
right.
I'm not sure if I would lie about it, like just be able to go to my minimum wage job. But like,
yeah. I totally identify. Like, one thing that I've noticed on social media is, like, I travel in a lot of left-wing bubbles on social media, and there's this arrogance of, like, people on the left towards, like, white working class people and the COVID deniers and everything, and like protesting against lockdown orders and stuff. But it's like, they're fucking poor.
yeah,
like, they can't fucking hang out in their brownstone apartment and, like, just get Grubhub all day. Like, they need fucking something. Mm-hmm. And if they have no support, then the only thing they have is denying science.
It's a defense mechanism, really. It's the ignorance of not believing science, or how would you say, like, not the luxury of not, because it's not a luxury to not believe in science either. Like,
no, I think it's a privilege to be able to fully embrace the science and have it not affect you in any way. Like,
right.
Like, people who are like, oh, I just, I've reconnected with my aura and my energies and got to stay home and stuff. And it's like, I'm eating super softy donuts right now. I don't have a fucking garden.
I know. I started eating canned goods again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had Dinty Moore beef stew, but it tastes like fucking dog food. Like, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. I've been mixing food. I had jelly out of the jar the other day. Like, I ran out of peanut butter, and so I just ate the jelly.
Yeah, I wanted to treat myself last week. I am in the grocery store, and I'm getting my Campbell's, it's on sale, and I was like, fuck it, I have a couple extra bucks. I'm gonna buy one of those little 8-ounce fucking Nutella things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my luxury item for the year. Like, I was eating this Nutella like it was liquid gold, and like, man, I'm like, and for a brief moment, I started judging poor people. Like, I can feel it in the Nutella. I'm like, there's people who've never even attempted to try Nutella. Oh.
I'm so fancy. Yeah. Yeah. No, I used to have Nutella on bread when I was when I went to study abroad in Africa. They had that in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the hazelnut spread. So I mean,
Where in Africa did you study? Where were you?
I was in Senegal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like one of the most least known African countries. Like it's one of the most
pretty important historically. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that. I thought you were gonna be like, oh yeah, Johannesburg.
No. I had a choice going whether or not between Senegal or Ghana, and it was interesting because like that year, I knew a couple people from Ghana, and I didn't actually get along with them. So like that judged my whole disposition of what that country. I was like, I'll go to Senegal because I have no fucking clue what's over there.
Right.
And I showed up late, and I was one of the last people to sign up for the program. And they're like, "You only got like what? All the other slots are taken. You can just go to Africa." And I was like, "Okay."
Well, that's pretty sweet. That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I went to India when I was in high school, and it was a World Health Organization thing. So it was people from all over the world there, and the people from they had Ghana and Nigeria, and those people were so much fun. Drank me under the table.
Mhm.
I mean, I was 17, so like, but they were a lot of fun. But I remember there was another girl from America, from Kansas, in our group, and we had to do they wanted to do like a cultural exchange, like one of these, like, give us a little piece of Nigeria and then we'll give you a little piece of America. And it's like, America, what the fuck are you gonna, like, what's our cultural exchange? Like school shooting?
A hamburger.
Like, yeah. Yeah. So
here's a hamburger and some bullets. Yeah.
It's like, I didn't know what I don't know what America's cultural exchange is, but I know what I don't want it to be. And it's this girl teaching a bunch of kids from Africa how to square dance. And I was so pissed. I was like, that's not America. I promise you.
No, it's a certain subsection. It's not a Coca-Cola commercial, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the cultural exchange that I had to do in Africa was I had a host brother, and he was like, as soon as you get there and they want you to be cool with them, it's like, hey man, you got girls? We got girls. I'll sell you some girls if you give us some girls. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't sell you females from America. Because I don't understand this whole thing about like pimping out in other countries. You could just do that. Oh, we'll give you a girl. So introduce you to girls. You give me girls. And I was like, the American girls don't work that way.
Yeah. No. I mean, if they're poor enough, maybe.
Yeah.
Have you seen I mean, I've seen that 90 Day Fiance thing, and they have 90 Day the other way, where American people go to the countries of their mates to live there. And
is it a hellscape?
It's beautiful. Trashy reality TV, man. I put it off for so long. I made it 28 years without paying attention to any of that shit.
Yeah.
And then over the past, I mean, this is not a unique thing at all, but it's like over the past COVID era, I've just embraced all of it. And I love all. I can't believe I've deprived myself of reality television for this long.
Okay. I've watched 2 shows recently. The first one was F Boy Island.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I watched that one because one of the people I was working with at a temp job is getting on season 2.
Oh, so you wanted to catch up?
Yeah. So I caught up to the show, and it's just a bunch of alpha males, whatever you want to describe them as, being very the goal of the show is to prove whether or not you come in. The men audition is either a fuck boy or a nice guy, right? And then by the end of the show, they have to show their true colors, right? And the girls whittle down each guy based on who they're interested in, like dates and like hanging out and like talking on this like private island in the middle of the Caribbean. And
Yeah.
they have all this money and all these like picturesque spots, and they drink the whole show.
That's the key ingredient to a good reality show.
Everybody's
Copious
wasted.
alcohol.
Everybody's wasted the whole I can't imagine what the alcohol, you start with it like it's just booze when they wake up and then booze before they go to bed. And
yeah,
by the end of the show, one of the guys has the choice. They can choose whether to choose the girl or they choose the money. There's a cash prize at the end, right?
yeah.
So they go through all these fucking hurdles to win love. And then at the end of it, they could just dump them and take the money. And what happens is, by the end of the show, you have three guys, three girls, three guys. The three girls have whittled down 25 dudes off this island to get to these three, whoever. And then the men are given the choice. No, the women find out whether or not they were a fuckboy or a nice guy. So they get to the very end of it and they find out, oh, I was a fuckboy, but now I love you. I'm not a nice guy now, right? So that happened to two of them. The last guy goes, yeah, I'm a fuckboy and I want the money. And then this poor girl's like, what? And then the host of the show, who's a woman, Nikki Glazer, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Nikki Glazer does the thing where like, oh shit, you want the money? Actually, what's gonna happen is that money's gonna go to charity and you just have to fucking leave. And the guy goes, what? Like surprised.
All right.
Yeah, like you fucking took it away. Like it's just morally, I get it. Like men can be trash, but putting money in front of a man.
All right.
Because it's always been money over bitches.
Yeah, putting money in front of anybody and being like, hey, do you want this much money that'll solve all of your problems?
Yeah.
Or do you want the love of your life that we've meticulously manipulated to be in this final situation for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. And the other two guys who gave up, who gave up the money and chose the woman, they actually got to split the money with him.
So that was the charity?
No, the charity goes to whatever choosing or whatever. But like, if you chose the girl, you just split the money with the girl.
Oh.
And then I did some follow-up research. I did like a celebrity gossip deep digging. Turns out they didn't stay together that long.
I don't believe that.
They stayed together for like 3 months. They barely saw each other and then they just dipped. They got split it 50-50.
What's funny to me is like the reality TV show like I was watching, I can't remember what two shows it is. One of them is Too Hot to Handle. That was one of them, where like basically these people are on an island and they find the most hot people they can find. They're the most attractive human beings, and in their early 20s. And the whole thing is they can win up to like $100,000, but they can't touch each other on this island. So if they like start developing feelings and want to fuck, they like lose the amount of money. So the money keeps going down with every like kiss, with every fuck, and everybody gets mad. Like, why did you fuck him? And she's like, because his dick is huge. And like everybody's. But anyways, it was another show, like it was one of these like Married at First Sight things show. Anyways, one of the girls from that show showed up in the other show at like a party situation, and it's like, oh, they all have the same agents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, can you get me on that show too? Like, we'll do a guest spot on this show. Like, it's a fucking sitcom, you know? Like, they're doing crossovers and shit.
Yeah. I do. I hang out sometimes with this guy named Willie Mack. He was on the first season of College Hill. He does stand up, and like getting spots on reality shows. Like me meeting that guy at my temp job. Like you just know people who are on TV that are just out here.
Yeah. It's such a weird time to be alive, man.
Right. All right. So more about poor choices. We talked about food. We're talking about reality television. That donut must be delicious right now.
It's on sale.
Yeah. I started fasting because like I had a negative bank balance, and I was just like, oh, I can't eat. That's what I have to do now. I just have to. It's not a diet; it's starvation. And what's interesting about not being able to buy any food is that you realize you actually don't need food that much. I've just started like I could make it like 2 or 3 days without eating now. Like I figured out how to do
it. Yeah, I think that you do need food. I think you just get used to you're too poor, so it just like you convince yourself you don't need that thing. It's like it's like, oh man, it's so weird. I can't get through the night like in one sleep. Like clearly that's because we're not eating right, but it's like, I'll just worry about that later.
Yeah.
Like I used to say that on stage. Like I had like my own health insurance policy is called, I'm sure it's nothing. Because like I don't have the money to worry about this right now.
Oh yeah.
I think like so this summer I was doing a job in Myrtle Beach, pretty much a tourist trap thing, you know, and taking pictures of tourists and then trying to upsell them pretty pictures of their dumb kids and stuff. And I was making so much money this summer. And one thing about being poor is that no one really teaches you how to use money like in a smart way. So all of a sudden I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, just like week to week, like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I'm spending it like crazy. Like I have money now. I'm flying friends into Myrtle Beach to see me, putting them up in hotels, and I'm fucking going out to eat every day. And I'm like just blowing money. And then now it's the off season and I'm making like hardly anything. And it's crazy how like clearly I'm in the wrong. Like I fucked up. I didn't like save my money. I didn't plan it out right. But I'm also like, why didn't anybody, like one person in my life, teach me like savings? Like, don't spend it all because you won't have it later. Like, I don't know. I'm just blaming people. I'm in my late 20s. I'm fucking like blaming people.
Well. Here's the other caveat of that, right? Is that being poor, you're starved of opportunities, right? And things to do. And so the next, like our natural ability is our natural inclination as a human is to chase dopamine and serotonin, right? Things that make us feel good. And spending money is a key thing in feeling good, right? You've earned it, you've made this money, this is what you've gathered, you've hunter gathered all this shit together, and now you get to create a community for it, right?
Yeah.
When making money, man, I go out and just buy drinks and shit. I'm buying clothes to look good. I fucking spend everything as soon as I get it. And when I don't have a goddamn cent, I wonder how I get through the day, right? Because it's like if I'm not spending anything when I'm poor, why don't I do the same thing when I actually have it? Why don't I just stay consistent? And it was one of those things where, like those Gary V, like douchebag entrepreneur people, right?
Yeah.
When it's like, if you took 6 months and invested in yourself, you can change your life around, right? Like those kinds of things. And like I've been reading all these self-improvement books, and I'm in the middle of a breakup. So it's like I'm just trying to pull my shit together, and and I'm flailing. And this is probably a decent rock bottom. Like I've been here before, but
Right.
I've been here before, but this is probably the most negative I've ever seen a bank account.
Right.
And
I mean,
more fees on top of that.
well, that's I think that's something that I before COVID, I was living check to check and stuff, and it was like I got pretty good at living check to check, like, oh, okay, like this is how much. All right, so I'm buying Hot Pockets this week. That'll get me through. I got enough money because I don't have like kids or anything. So it's like, oh, that like I got enough money to go out on Saturday and I'll like get a couple drinks with the guys and like creating an illusion for myself that I'm not like one mistake away from complete ruin.
Yeah.
And that's what most of being poor for me is like, how capable am I of lying to myself that things are fine? Like if I can go to the bar and have a beer with the other guys at the bar, then I'm fine. But
Right.
like I shouldn't buy that beer, or I shouldn't go out to eat at this restaurant. Like I shouldn't be doing that because I might need to fucking like I'm eating donuts right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I emptied my fridge. I finished my last food in the fridge. I had a can of beans, an onion, some garlic, some chopped garlic cloves, and I put like the last of my margarine, and I just put it all in a pot, and then I just dumped eggs in there, and I just put it on top of like some lettuce that I had in the bottom of the fridge. Like that's it. There's nothing left in my fridge.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like my whole existence for the past. So like right now, I'm currently living with my mother because she was gonna help me out, right? And like because last year took everything from me, which was like the worst. And then so she's helping me out, and like now I'm seeing how poor she is, like because now it's like now there's an extra mouth in the house and there's an extra like person around. Like my poor mother, her car got towed by the fucking bank the other day because like rent got taken out of her account right when the car payment was supposed to be taken out, of course. And it's been like very sobering to be like I just thought I was poor and like my mom had her shit together, you know? But it's like, oh, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Like, if my mom can't keep the car out of repo, like then yeah, I guess this is just normal adult life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. We had so much hope, like when we were younger,
Yeah.
I mean, these storybook endings, like we'll fucking make it. And I mean, I see fucked up shit on the street all day. People's lives shattered. So mental illness just in full view, right? Like just people just shaking on the streets, drugs, violence, and nobody's doing. Like I don't help them. Nobody helps them. Now, as soon as you get to a point of no return, there's nothing left. There's no coming back after a certain point.
Yeah. Well, what are you like, what are you supposed to do? Because that's always like one of those right-wing sort of gotcha things where it's like, if you care about the homeless so much, why don't you do something? And it's like, well, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Like I'm fucking poor, like
Yeah.
I can't buy a house for someone. I can't bring them into my house and just fucking like be the unqualified professional that can turn their life around. Like, I don't have the resources for that. And also, you know, I I know, like, again, like, I'm living with my mother, right? But like, if she wasn't around, I'd be on the street. I would have no fallback plan. So when you see like fucking homeless people, um, what was that like that Louis C.K. line, like when the girl's like, what happened to him, and they're talking about the homeless person, and he's like, what do you mean what happened to him? America happened to him. Like, what do it's like, we're all this close to being the crazy guy,
Yep.
like, and talking to themselves on the corner, and like, I see it scares the shit out of me,
Mhm.
and there's nothing, and it goes back to like, what are the issues? Like, how much of these issues are really an individual responsibility? Like, how much of my poor is
Mhm.
my, because like a lot of it, because you can go through your life and you can be like, okay, like, these are bad decisions I made, or I should have done this differently, but the big picture, it's like, well, I don't know, I was stocking shelves for 40 hours a week to 40 to 45 hours a week, and I was still barely making rent. I
Mhm.
mean, I couldn't recover from that car issue I had a couple years ago. Like,
Mhm.
those aren't my problems.
Yeah.
But so like, how much of this personal pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it's almost like the system is designed that way to keep us this poor and scared of being poor.
Yeah. Well, no, it's precisely that, because there is no safety net anymore. There is no infrastructure that can handle somebody's shit. Because if that was the case, it would just be giving us free money to be able to do whatever we want. The experiment which they did in the beginning of the pandemic, just giving us free money, they should have just given us future investments. They should have given us ways to be able to make more money off. I mean, crypto. I made I did Dogecoin for a bit,
All
and
right.
I ended up flipping $450 and turning it into 3,000, and then I sold all of it immediately and bought a car.
Right.
That was the only thing I could do. I dicked around probably since 2019 with crypto, and I don't get it still. Like, I look at the coin, I don't. There's a private group of people who go in and artificially inflate the prices so everybody else can make money. Like, it's literally like you have to be on the inside with people who can manipulate the market.
Yeah. I don't understand uh a single thing about cryptocurrency.
I make it up, dude. You see what's hot on the message boards, and you take your money and you go put it in there, and then you lose $6 every time.
Yeah.
And then you panic sell, and then you go to the next one that you have this false belief may pop, because Dick Rad 424 on Reddit said that Pogs is gonna rocket ship, rocket ship, rocket ship, diamond hand emoji, and that's what you put $40 in, and it turns to $34 immediately, and you're like, son of a bitch, and then you sell that, and then you're like, no, wait, I'll hold it, and then it turns to $16 in 2 weeks, and you're like, this is fucking pointless.
Yeah. See, I don't get it, and I don't, like, I wish I understood, because like, the only people that I really hear like great things about, like Bitcoin, for example, is like either a 17-year-old in a YouTube ad driving a Ferrari, like, Bitcoin is the future, or it's like some waiter at a restaurant who works three jobs just to keep like food on the table, and he's like, yeah, Bitcoin, man, that's where it's at. And I'm like, I just don't feel like it's real. Like, why is this? Everybody's like, dude, $30,000 in Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, but you're a manager at Arby's. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what is it? Like,
it doesn't make a difference about what it is. It's about what you do with it, right? Because I started on Robinhood, and I moved to a couple different apps, and I don't fully grasp it either in terms of blockchain technology and decentralized finance. It's impressive to just hear about it, right? Being like everybody can get the same thing at the same time, right? The blockchain makes it so that there's copies of an event that happens simultaneously, no matter where it is, everybody can see it at the same time. So there's a proof that there's no false transaction, there's no lie. That's what the beauty of decentralized internet is.
Right.
And I don't even know if that's a solid explanation, but really, like, each coin operates on a different network, if that makes sense. And each of those networks has a series of transactions that are cataloged. And I guess the way the money works and how that happens is it's either the value of when that transaction happened kind of dictates the price. So it could either be like it's a moment. It's a value of a moment. Does that make sense? That's what a coin is.
I mean,
it's further down the rabbit hole than you even wanted to know.
It's too much because I'm not going to do anything with it. But yeah. I feel like at its core, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it's a bunch of like kids wearing their dad's clothes and like their dad's business suits going like, now it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then like everybody around is like, oh, it's a lot now. And then some of them are like, I don't think it's not a lot now. And then everybody goes, oh no, it's not a lot. And then like, it's kind of like,
yeah. It's like that'd be a great Little Rascals like sketch.
Yeah.
Okay, don't.
Yeah, I was gonna go. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
You can tell how valuable it is by like Alfalfa's like.
Yeah. Spanky, you should have invested in Stellar Lumens or some shit like that. Or just.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wonder what the end game is for poor. Okay, this is such a stupid, like, I'm so stoned question, but like, what is the end game for poor people as a whole here? Like, I feel like as like a leftist person who like thinks about these things quite often, I feel like I meet some of the most vocal communists in a break room of any retail establishment. Like, and people don't even know that they're literally quoting Marx. Like, I've heard right-wing conservative, like, meat department grocery store workers say, I feel like I'm being exploited. Like, it's like it's very real and tangible. I mean, it's material dialectics, but it's like what is like, what has to happen if not a global pandemic? What has to happen for poor people to be like, okay, I don't like who you kiss at night, and I don't like that you pray to this God, but like, we're all being fucked, right? Like, what do you?
The collective will,
like just the consciousness of like, oh, like none of this matters. Like, as long as we're all fucked and in this position and too afraid and tired to do something, they're winning. Like, what?
Think about it. Okay, so think about it this way. The dissolution of the Roman Empire actually happened over a long period of time, like several hundred years, right? It didn't happen overnight, like how everybody says, like Rome burned to the ground or whatever. Nah, they split up into two different separate kingdoms, right? The Byzantium Empire and the Western Roman Empire, right? And then over time, with the constant raids of Germanic tribes, like shit just got depleted. The governments ended up just having to cave. Like local officials just started losing their power. People just started vacating their homes. And then like within those hundreds of years, people just had to probably collectively get their shit together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it must have just restarted into smaller factions of people. Because if anything, like there was no massive welfare state in Rome, right? There is no Western in terms of any major society. Like this is the first time, like in America, like Social Security and yada yada. This is the first time in history where we've had this thought that the government and people in power are actually supposed to take care of us. Because before then, the bare minimum was just to keep the fucking hordes of foreign tribesmen out of the land. Right? That was the real reason of the government. So this shift in saying that we're owed something is very new in terms of industrialized society and the human mind. And so I think that we just kind of have to just pump the brakes a little bit and go like, actually, nobody owes us shit. And really, it's about the individual choice to, like you were saying before, it's like, what's going to cause people to get ready to overthrow the government? It's got to be on an individual basis.
Yeah, and I don't even think that like there's a reality that really I don't think there's a realistic vision of an overthrow of like the American government or whatever. I don't even know what that would even fucking look like. I mean,
they fucking tried it and it was stupid.
Right, and it was, well, that was like straight up fascism. It's like you can't. No revolution in the history of revolutions has the president ever led it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're freedom fighters, and it's like you're literally the man. Like you're literally the one in the. Anyways, but like yeah, but like. Yeah, you can't just storm a building and like burn the building down. America's not even like a tangible thing. It's just happening above us, and we don't like walk around underneath it. So like, it's definitely not going to be an overthrow. I could see like a collapse. Like I could see like institutions just not being able to like function
well, okay, I mean, the collapse in and of itself would have to be from a currency plummet, which they'll never do, because like you said, America exists in this kind of idea, right? And like the Federal Reserve and interest rates and yada yada yada, all that math, it just kind of reinforces this idea. And I think it's very interesting that you put it that way, because you're right. It doesn't actually, the laws are on books that are in other places, and you just kind of apply those rules to the moment that you're in. That's such a weird thing to think about of social control, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's why they're not really afraid of, of people like storming the Capitol. Like they're not like, that's not even like, people are like, how are they able to do it? Now there's a lot of reasons why January 6th was able to happen. And not the least bit of it was like the protesters looked a certain way and they were draped in American flags. And I mean, like they were, there's a lot of reasons why they were able to like cross the gate. But it's also like, if it was something that like really attacked the institution of what American society is, if it was like, you know, this was essentially a political party throwing a temper tantrum. This fits into the whole thing. We're a divided nation. It's right wing versus left wing. Everybody's happy. You know, the people in power are happy about that, and it's fine. But like, if it was literally like, we want to dismantle this and we don't recognize your power over us, and like, we're gonna establish an equitable society, and we're, you know, and whatever, I don't know, like, if that protest was about like universal health care and people stormed the Capitol building, they would have been shot in the street, you know, like.
Yeah. But I mean, even then, thinking about an idealized society, I mean, they blew up Waco. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
Like, you can't go off grid. They've already established that. What are you going to go do? Farm?
Right. Yeah.
What the fuck? You want to go and be in some hippie commune where you just eat food that's been manured with your own human shit? Like, it's gross.
Yeah.
You're gonna go woofing for revolution. That's what people are doing.
Yeah. You know, and I don't know. I mean, people are tired, and they're scared, and everybody wants something different, you know, than what's happening right now. And like, Trump was that for a very select portion of the population, and like, was more of a symbol for something than whatever it was. Like, it's amazing to me how establishment based his presidency was, and his fans are still like, he's on the outside and shaking things up. And it's like, he did everything that like Pompeo wanted him to do. Like,
yeah. He was led around. That's why we're in where we're in right now, is because all of his tax cuts and shit like that expired, and then it just nuked the whole stock. I don't know, the whole economy. It's just like, we're living in the exact same thing that happened with George W. Bush, and that Obama had to correct. You know, we get into budget surpluses, and it's like, Biden is just too old, man. All this shit, who the fuck knows what's going over his desk, if he's actually doing anything?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard, aside from following the Build Back Better and the infrastructure bill,
which are dead on arrival in the Senate anyway.
Right, which is, yeah, and everybody gets to wipe their hands and go like, oh well, we tried. I fucking, God, I hate them all. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck Biden is doing. I don't know. I try and follow like the White House shit, like his whole COVID response. He's effectively just taken the "it's not a problem anymore" approach. Like, it's just not a thing, and the states will be able to handle it. And then you look at states like Florida, and it's like, they're not handling it. Like, what are we doing?
They're like burning the documents. Like, they just don't fucking care. They don't fucking care.
So yeah, he's not doing shit. And I don't know if it would matter. I'm not like conspiracy guy, but it's like, it doesn't really seem to matter who the fuck is in office, because they're doing the same things. So it's like, it's different flavors, it's spin-offs of the same thing. It's like, you know, you get tired of Reagan, so here's one that can play the saxophone, and like, and then, oh, you're done with that, well, here's a little folksy family values guy, and he's cool, and here's a black guy, he's totally awesome, and you remember the reality show guy, there's him. And it's like, we're all, man, it's all in the system, man.
Kanye 2024. Like,
I don't give a shit. I'm voting for Kanye.
I really would if he got on the ballot. at this point because it doesn't make any fucking sense. Who
It does.
who are they going to run in 2024? Why hasn't any of Trump's lawsuits gone through yet? Why is he still allowed to be out on the street if all of his companies have always been corrupt? Like,
Yeah.
if he's been like basically just like money laundering and frauding people, why is he still free? It's just like, even if you didn't even go to court, just like hearing what he did with like even the meat steaks or the airplane or the hotels, like it's like
university.
just like what people said, like, oh, you just took the money and you just gave him shitty stuff. Okay, that's fraud. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, he told those fucking people to storm the Capitol. Like,
yeah,
it's
it's like we watched it on Fox News. He's like, get him, and then they did, and then he's like, I didn't say that. And you're like, yes, you did. What the fuck?
he literally did it, and he's and the media is still like, ooh, he could run, and what is gonna happen? Like, what's gonna happen? He's gonna run again, and if he doesn't win, he's gonna fuck all of your wives.
Yeah, it's like a WWE like pay-per-view match. And coming out of nowhere, here comes Donald Trump, and he fucking comes off the thing, the smoke cannons, and you're like, oh my god, this is our country. Like, this is
Broke him in half. He's just ladders.
Yeah, he hits Biden with a chair. It's just like, what the fuck? Clang! It's just like, this is so stupid.
It is very funny that I've met so many people online who have started their political radicalizing with, like, Bernie Sanders, like, wearing the Bernie pins and like waving the peace sign and everything, and those people today are fucking wearing Lenin and Stalin on their shirt, and they're just like, fucking burn it down. Like, I went from like Bernie Sanders, man, that's my guy, to like, fucking Bernie is a sellout, and I'm voting for Che Guevara.
No. Do you remember Occupy Wall Street?
Oh, how could I forget?
When we were at the state education building?
Yeah.
Occupy Albany?
I remember Occupy Albany in the park right across the street from the Capitol building.
Yeah. That was fun for like 3 days.
Yeah.
That was it.
I went down to Occupy Wall Street with my friend Adrian. We were there when it started, the first day. And we went down, and it was crazy. There were only like, at the time, it was only like 600 people, right? Like, it was the first day, and we all broke off into little groups to like our own little committees to make like basic rules for engagement, and then we'd come as a general assembly, right? Very Soviet, model. But it was cool meeting how many different kinds of people were there, right? It was like, you had anarchists, you had libertarians, you had environmentalists, you had Marxists, you had a bunch of different people there all together, which was really cool. But we had to make rules in our little group, and I was smoking a cigarette, and one girl was like, I think our first rule should be, if you want to smoke, you should go to the end of the park so that we don't have to be subjected to it. And I was like, oh, this is never going to work.
Because you want to start there, bitch. Yeah, no.
I was like, we're sitting outside of fucking Goldman Sachs, and my cigarette is going to be the thing that breaks you. Like, yeah. All right, this isn't going to work.
No, and I've always thought about that too, in terms of the collective whole, right? Like, it's easier to, like the whole Machiavellian principle, it's easier to root through fear than love, right? And love-based governance, and I'm going to tell you from experience as a hippie school teacher for the past 10 years, that it is insane to run an egalitarian society. It is
Yeah.
It's insanity. It is a constant push-pull of passive aggressive, passive aggressive, manipulative, and group coercion, right? In terms of even getting through an agenda of a staff meeting. You know what I mean? Like just the people politics of that. And even in the sense of like, let's like even philosophically, ruling through fear and direct leadership is the most efficient way to govern a society. Point blank, period. A totalitarian dictatorship gets shit done. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this just on the fact that I've worked in the other end of peace and love, and everybody has a turn to get to say their thing. Everybody gets to turn. Who wants to be heard today, right?
Right.
From the most paid person on staff to the child who just started that day. What do you have to say? And to be honest with you, it's never that fucking like profound. All right. I think a lot because I work in a corporate environment now, and that's straight top down.
Right.
And there's no
Yeah.
you're told what to do.
Like you went from like hippie school to military school.
No. Oh no, this is more of like a I work at I can't say, I don't know if I should say it in the recording.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but the corporate environment that I work at is very matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means I have to move a piece of carpet like 3/4 of an inch on the third floor because for some reason it's offset, and whoever the building operations person was like, hey, that carpet's a little off just in the foyer, could you fix that? I have to stop my fucking day and go move that carpet 3/4 of an inch, right? Because the person said so, right? And I go, is that my value at $18.50 an hour? Is that like that's my purpose right now, is to do this person's bidding? And before that, I was known as a fun and loving teacher that was integral to the structure and support of all the student body. And I was part of the multicultural celebration committee, and I would bring joy. I ran an open mic for a class. I did an open mic class where kids could come and do. I had kids comedy. I did that every week for like an hour, and I got kids to be able to perform nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And I go from the joy and hope that I brought to these children to moving that fucking carpet, and I'm actually happier moving the carpet. like that's way less of a hassle than
that's awesome.
Than bringing that joy and hope and love, because fuck those staff meetings. Those people suck. We didn't get shit done. We had a 3-hour staff meeting blocked out for like four topics.
Yeah.
And everybody would have their say. And it was mind-numbingly insane to listen to that many perspectives in one room.
Yeah.
Like
listen, that's one thing that I've really I've been reading a lot of like communist history, and let me tell you something. When you read about an incredibly poor and desolate, ignorant country going from that to one of the greatest superpowers in the world under a communist regime, like how the fuck did they do that? Oh, because Mao was like, we're doing it, and if you don't want to, then there's no room for you here. Like, you know.
That's the thing. It's always about hostile takeover. I really want, to be honest with you, I'd like to shoot everybody in that staff meeting and just claim victory. You know what I mean? All right, fine. We're gonna have pizza on Wednesdays. Why'd this take 3 days? You know what I mean? Like this,
Right.
like this. What the fuck?
Your revolution mantra will be, "This could have been an email."
Yeah. It doesn't make as fucking sense when we have to have a fucking meeting about this.
You know, one I don't know. I obviously hate landlords a lot. Being poor, that's like it's like a poor person's natural predator is
Yeah.
a landlord. And on the topic of Mao, you know, Mao killed all the landlords in China. And that also,
Yeah.
I found footage of like before the like during the Great Leap Forward, when they seized all the lands from the landlords, they propped the landlords up, and Mao pretty much said like, the people in those communities can decide whatever they want to do with them. And so there's video footage of like landlords in handcuffs, just like standing there while there are like 1,000 people all airing their grievances one by one, like just yelling at them. And then eventually they elected to kill them. But they like encourage them to air out their grievances. I was just thinking about like in my apartment complex here, how awesome it would be to just like grab our stupid landlord by that ponytail he wears and like have him in the fucking parking lot with a gun against his head, and everyone's just like, my toilet's been clogged. All right. And you haven't fucking, just, God damn it, it's a plunger.
Just go and fix it.
Yeah.
My bathroom fan. You want to hear this shit? You want to hear this shit? You want to hear this shit? Watch it. This is what my fucking bathroom sounds like.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, well, either way, it's a very obnoxious fan.
Oh my God, that was so anticlimactic.
I killed my landlord because you know what? It's sound that bothers me. All right.
So that's like straight up what I imagine these people are saying, you know? It's like, I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese, but it's like, I imagine they're just like, the light has been off on the porch for so long.
The creak in the stairs. Yeah. Oh God, the garbage disposal. Anything.
Yeah, my fridge has smelled like a raccoon. Telling me you got me a new fridge. It's the same fridge, you just painted it a different color.
Can you fix the water heater? I'm either burned or I'm freezing. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, just
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I just imagine him just getting beat with or just like getting chopped with like a spackler. Like just
the snow shovel that everyone's supposed to share.
He just beaten to death with it in the driveway. Why did you couldn't give me an extra parking spot? Like, it's just one of those things. Why do you charge $150 for parking? And then just beat him to death with the shovel. Oh, it's good. All right. I think we've covered it. We've covered today. Would you like to, because we touched on a lot of things that I think we could break up into other episodes. Because I'm also thinking of like getting a guest spot, like we can do like Dwayne Murphy's out here.
Right. Yeah. That would be awesome. We should just like, because this is fine. and I like the free ball in it. I think if uh a little bit of structure to keep on like a topic, especially if we're just talking about poverty.
Yeah, yeah. Because it kind of fits into our own like political lens, and also like just it's comedy. It's strictly comedy and digging for bits. But like yeah, each subset, because we can take a bigger topic and then just relate to how poor we are.
Yeah, and there was a guy who did he did like a quarantine checking in with thing with like Albany comics, and just like edited them all into like little episodes, which were pretty cool. So I'll send you one of those, just and like, because this is exactly what we could like edit, just fucking poor decisions.
Yeah, poor choices.
That's easier one to say.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is fun, so we got to do this again, and we'll come up with like a little bit of a structure that we could follow, just some like bullet points to like keep us on the straight and narrow.
Totally down. All right. I don't know. We could do Saturday mornings if you're not doing shit, if you're not working.
Yeah, Saturday mornings work for me. I mean, I'm several hours ahead of you too, so I typically work Saturdays.
Okay. Let me know your schedule. How about this? You schedule the next one.
All right. Yeah. We'll keep in touch.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Peace.
Peace.